Hello everybody, my name is JJ, and boy oh boy do we have a lot of mail to open today. I keep asking for mail and you people keep sending it, and frankly it is coming in at a faster rate than I can open it, so I better get cracking. Owing to the wonderfully international selection of my audience, I have quite the eclectic collection of packages coming from places including South Africa, the UK, Colorado, Georgia, Texas, Taiwan, Louisiana, Maryland, Minnesota, and California. Let us start with the parcel from South Africa, which comes from my friend David, who put quite a lot of effort into creating an attractively compelling parcel design. He actually sent me a photograph of how it looked before, I suppose correctly assuming that the Canadian Postal Service folks would not treat it with the respect that it properly deserved. Hello JJ, I finally got around to assembling this package for you. I hope you enjoy perusing the items in this box and that they sustain your interest in South Africa. So, of course, no package from South Africa would be complete without one of these vuvuzela horns that, of course, we all learned about from the World Cup a few years back. Do you remember? I remember Google even had a little button that you could press at one point to make this awful noise come out of their main page. You can see that this one actually has a fun little packaging on it that makes it look like the South African flag. He has sent me some charming South African political cartoon books. Longtime JJ fans will know that I am a big fan of political cartooning. This used to be something that I had some pretenses of doing in my own life as a career. These are two examples of popular South African political cartoons, each by a different artist aimed at a different audience. So Zapiro is an artist with an edgy but more satirical style, frequently published in local newspapers. Bitter Comics, on the other hand, is lamenting and more of a graphic novel. Its stories and characters are fictitious. Its scenarios and storylines present as critiques of local culture and politics. Some biting social commentary from South Africa. I look forward to checking that out. He has also sent me some South African magazines. Newsweek is a controversial monthly tabloid, the name of which is a spoof on the American Newsweek, first appeared in the early 1990s and is frequently the subject of defamation lawsuits. And then he has got me this magazine here, which is called Exit, which is a newspaper aimed at the LGBT community. It started underground in the 1980s when homosexuality was still outlawed. It is one of the few written records of South African queer culture. So that's very interesting, eh? He has also sent me a South African flag, which I will add to the collection. He has sent me some postcards of what he describes as various South African things. So we have two of South Africa's great presidents, Nelson Mandela, of course, and General Jan Smuts, who was the leader of the country during the Second World War. Postcard of something described as the Koeksister sculpture, which is apparently a sculpture of a giant Dutch pastry that is important to the South African people in some way. This is an interesting photograph of the front of the South African Supreme Court, which has colorful text in all of South Africa's 11 official languages. South Africa, I think, has the most official languages of any country on earth. He has sent me these charming, colorful socks, which he says depict the colorful geometric pattern made famous by the Ndebele people, who are an offshoot of the Zulu tribe, who paint their dwellings this way. And then, of course, no package from some foreign land would be complete without a generous assortment of their various snack treats. Iced vanilla flavored biscuits. So we have these really fun, colorful cookies with different South African animals on them, such as the rhino and the springbok. David says that he doesn't like these cookies, but I think they're awesome. He has also sent me some rooibos tea. And this is interesting because rooibos tea is relatively common where I come from, perhaps where you come from as well. But I never really put two and two together that rooibos is a Dutch word, which it obviously looks like when you think about it. And apparently it means red bush. So I guess perhaps this has some origin in South Africa as well. Toffees called Champion. A peppermint crisp bar. These little fruity chews called Safari. And lastly, he sent me some soap from Hawaii. He says that this is not from South Africa, but his mother's cousin owns a small artisanal soap factory on Maui, and he knows that I want to get something from all 50 of the states. Thank you very much, David. I really appreciate the thoughtfulness. South Africa is a country I have long been very interested in, and you've certainly given me a lot of objects to sort of contemplate and learn from. Okay, moving on from South Africa, let us now look at some mail from South Africa's former colonial master, the British, sent to me from my friend Thomas. So Thomas is 25 years old. He has lived all of his life in England, mostly in the east and southeast. He has sent me a number of postcards relating to different places in England that are important to him. There's a postcard from Southend, which he says is the second largest city town in the county of Essex, which is his hometown. He says it has fallen on some rather hard times, which I suppose indicates the things that are illustrated on this postcard, which are not exactly what one generally sees depicted on a postcard. It says Southend in it. He says in it is a catch-all phrase used by people in Southend and the county in Essex as a means to express something being good or authentic. So Southend in it. We also have a postcard from historic Norwich, which is where he went to university. And then we've got a postcard from Hyde Park, you know, the big central park in London, famous for being quite an eclectic place that attracts a lot of odd types, which are quite well depicted on this postcard. Oh yes, here is the famous Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park, which is known for where a bunch of different cranks of various sorts are allowed to speak freely in a sort of testament to British free expression. We have a picture of the Thames River in London. Not actually that exciting if this postcard is any metric to judge by. A postcard from Shoreditch, which is apparently in the area in the East End of London. Postcard is not, frankly, doing it a lot of favors. Postcard from Hartlepool. People from Hartlepool are known as monkey hangers. This is due to an event in the Napoleonic War where a ship beached upon the shore of Hartlepool and the locals mistook the ship's pet monkey for being a French spy. This was due to the way the French people were portrayed in cartoons as being barely human and mistaking the monkey's gibberish for being French. The monkey was tried and hung as a French spy. Because of this, the local football team has a mascot called Hungus the monkey. Okay, I don't know to what degree this is descending into madness, and he's maybe pulling jokes on me here, because he says, so in the bottom picture here, you see there's a gentleman in a monkey costume, and he says, in 2002, Hartlepool gained its first mayoral election, and the guy in the mascot's suit decided to run as Hungus the monkey on a platform of free bananas for all. He won the mayoral election and was in office for 11 years, with great popularity until the position was abolished in 2013. I'm just going to Google this quickly, just so I'm not making a fool of myself on my own YouTube channel. BBC, the monkey mascot who became a mayor. 11 years ago, the main political parties were all fighting to decide who should become Hartlepool's first elected mayor, but in the end, they all lost out. Instead, the town chose local football mascot Hungus the monkey. Well, okay. He has sent me a copy of the famous British children's magazine Beano, featuring the famous British cartoon character Dennis the Menace. Interesting cartoon trivia fact, has nothing at all to do with the American Dennis the Menace. It is just a complete coincidence that the two countries sort of spontaneously came up with an identically named cartoon character. Children's comic magazines. We really have nothing like this in North America. The weird European cartoon style is also a lot of fun, where everybody sort of has big noses and long rubbery limbs. 2000 AD, an anthology science fiction comic that is published weekly. He says this is the magazine where a lot of famous British comic folk like Alan Moore got their start. And then of course he has also sent me Private Eye, which is of course the very famous British satirical political magazine. Boris escapes Heathrow vote in Afghanistan. This yellow van-shaped pencil case contains merchandise from the TV sitcom Only Fools and Horses. It's quite hard to explain how much this sitcom means to English people and how much we love it. It ran for over 20 years from 1981 to 2007. And was regularly the most watched show on TV. Words and phrases from the show have entered the regular vocabulary of the English people, such as plonker and Trigger's broomstick. So this is cool. So I've got all sorts of fun artifacts, a little book, postcards of the characters, including this You Plonker magnet, tax disc holder. I don't know what that is. Lovely English flag, the Cross of St. George. He has given me a coaster from Coleman's Mustard, which he says is one of the leading mustard brands. And then he has sent me this nutritional booklet from a fast food establishment that is called Wimpy. Wimpy Burger is a famous English fast food restaurant that dates back to the 1960s and still markets itself with an American feel. Look at this stuff. Spicy bean burger, mega burger, which has like a hot dog on it. It's amazing how foreign countries cannot get American cuisine right. It sort of should give Americans some comfort when they get foreign food wrong. Then he has sent me a package of candies by a company called Swizzles, the so-called British penny candies that you sometimes hear about in cartoons and that kind of stuff. It looks like that kind of really cheap candy that's made of like that sort of chalky, sort of sugary stuff. I think in America these are called Smarties, and then, you know, they make it into lollipops as well. So that is a very interesting cross-section of modern Britain, Thomas. Thank you very much. Let's look at one of the American packages next. This gigantic box comes to me from my friend Jeanette from the great state of Colorado. Look at this. Just right off the bat, this lovely bag with the Colorado flag. So the first thing we have here is an issue of Westward magazine, which is clearly some sort of trendy Colorado alternative weekly. Oh, I see that these various ads fell out of it. Marijuana advertisement, which is of course legal in Colorado. Oh, I think this is another marijuana ad. We have some merchandise from the Stop Fraud Colorado, which is apparently an initiative of the Colorado Attorney General's office, protecting consumers from a wild range of fraud. StopFraudColorado.gov. Sort of generic consumer protection initiative. Don't quite understand why all of the branding features animals in suits, although I guess they're like snakes and wolves and various other dishonest animals. Two nice little coasters featuring the Attorney General's seal. Jenny actually works for the Colorado Attorney General's office in the Consumer Protection Unit, where I manage the no-call program, valiantly attempting to protect our citizens from fraudsters and telephone scammers. The Denver Post and the Daily Camera. What's next for Harbeck House? What indeed? We got some lovely tea. Raspberry Zinger, Celestial Seasonings, famous American tea company. Oh, which I see is actually from Colorado. A nice can of air. Fresh canned air from Denver relieves stress, cures homesickness, and helps fight nostalgia. We have a little statue here, a little statuette of Margaret Molly Brown. So Margaret Molly Brown was apparently an American human rights activist, philanthropist, actress, and Titanic survivor. She took up a number of activist causes, including women's suffrage and women's rights, sometimes referred to as the unsinkable Molly Brown. And here she is. Look at this charming little bobblehead doll. Hey Molly, is it a good idea for women to have the vote? Oh, this will never get old. I like how states all have their sort of beloved local heroes. Oh, nice. We've got some chips from a Colorado company called Boulder Canyon. Some black bean soup mix produced by the Women's Bean Project. We have Bobo's Maple Pecan Oat Bar. Claims that it's a Boulder, Colorado cafe favorite. Oh, we've got some cool foldable Colorado themed sunglasses. Look at these cool handles. Colorado flag socks. Will go well with my South African socks. Wow, look at this. It's a Denver Broncos jersey. This is cool. Here, let me put the box out of the way. Never had a sports jersey before. I feel like a real cool dude wearing it. This is a very generous present. Thank you so much. A bunch of cool Colorado candy, including this nice bag of saltwater taffy, which I'm quite fond of. Colorado license plate. A cute little buffalo, who is apparently the mascot of the University of Colorado. He can be friends with the unsinkable Margaret Molly Brown. Speaking of license plates, we have a t-shirt featuring a Colorado license plate. Apparently comes from the Tattered Cover Bookstore. Molly Brown Museum, which of course exists. Charming bumper sticker that says native, so everybody knows that I'm a native Coloradan. And lastly, because Jenny tells me that she has also lived some of her life in the great state of Wyoming, she has also sent me a doll of that state's most beloved beast, which is this, the jackalope. We all know the jackalope, right? From that famous Pixar short that they showed before Inside Out or something. But the jackalope is a bunny with antelope horns. He's not a real thing, but is nevertheless much beloved by the locals. I think it started out as some sort of taxidermy prank. Thank you very much, Jenny. That was certainly the most generous bushel of local stuff I have ever received from anyone. So I'm incredibly grateful, particularly for this very sharp jersey. Okay, so for the next parcel, let us look at this box here from Laura and Truls, who are from Minnesota. Longtime viewers may recall it was a state I was stranded in earlier this year. On this charming Professor Frink postcard, my friends write, "Hello from Minnesota. My name is Truls and my mom's name is Laura. We've been fans for a while and we wanted to send you some things from this great state." The great state that you were stuck in when you lost your passport. See, they know. Minnesota Nice breath mints. Minnesota Nice is of course one of the big stereotypes about Minnesotans, that they're aggressively polite. In fact, I think that the whole concept of Canadians being polite is really just Americans extending the stereotype of Minnesotans to Canada because they think of Canada as being the most Minnesota-like country. And here is something called a Pearson's Salted Nut Roll. This is a popular Midwestern treat. It is incredibly salty, so needless to say, I love it. Here is a postcard of the Minneapolis 95 West Bridge. Apparently it collapsed in 2007, killing 13 people. Became a symbol of America's decrepit infrastructure. This is a somewhat grim postcard. Some loons, which is the official state bird. Apparently Charles Schulz, the creator of Snoopy and Charlie Brown and all the rest of them, is from Minnesota, which I suppose makes sense. The comic strip does have a very small town Americana sort of feel. A great artifact of Americana in general, I would say. Snoopy holding a football. And then we have this charming little drawing that Truls' brother did for me. This is very cool. Epson is the boy's name. They all have these good Scandinavian names. Thank you so much, folks, for that lovely collection of Minnesota knickknacks. I would really like to go back to Minnesota someday. And a part of me kind of feels like the fact that I was stranded, you know, it's some sort of sign that, like, you know, that state is important and that I should spend more time there and get to know it, you know. In a lot of ways, I'm very superstitious, and so I take things like that quite seriously. Now, let us go to a far more exotic corner of the world, the island of Formosa, also known as Taiwan, where we have this nice package from my friend Yuhai. Apologies, sir or ma'am. I'm not good with Chinese names. 2 postcards, which are in the shape of the island of Formosa, one of which features all of Taiwan's biggest cities. The other one features the famous Luce Memorial. Oh, it's a chapel, which is part of Tonghai University. We have some asparagus juice, what is called a ball cake. Actually, I remember I used to eat these in Japan. They're sort of like these very powdery, sweet things that they're popular to feed to babies because they kind of melt in your mouth instantaneously. These sarsaparilla candies, which I am told are very popular with children. And there's these wizard snacks, which is called Science Noodle. And then we've got this bag of a snack which is apparently made of codfish. I don't know if I dare attempt this one. We have some cool Taiwanese money, bills, and various coins. I see they all have Dr. Sun Yat-sen on them. Oh, this one has Chiang Kai-shek. Some beautiful Taiwanese stamps as well. This little pin of what I'm told are traditional Taiwanese slippers. But my friend says that they are worn mostly by middle-aged men. There is this cool pineapple decoration that I have to assemble somehow. My friend says that because the word pineapple sounds like prosperity comes in Taiwanese, it's used to celebrate when a store is newly open. Oh, that's really cool. I love this kind of stuff. And then we have an unfoldable watermelon-shaped fan. My hometown is famous for its watermelon festival. Love to collect things related to the fruit. The folded fan is quite common here. There's also this weird looking little piggy bank, which my friend says is traditional as well. I can put some of my Taiwanese money in here. And then we have this very archaic looking Taiwanese exercise book teaching the children how to write the various characters of their language. This is like some really sort of fun retro art, particularly the cover. Alrighty, so thank you very much, my friend. That is some really cool stuff from Taiwan. Let's try this box from Georgia. Hi, JJ. My name is Jared, and I'm a subscriber to your channel. I live in Georgia, and I live in the Athens area. Jared has sent me this cup from a establishment called Zaxby's. Beloved place to eat in Georgia, has expanded into 14 other states and is still growing. They are best known for their hot wings and sweet tea. Oh, here we got the menu as well. Chicken finger sandwich, chicken finger plate, spicy fried mushrooms. Sounds like much more authentically American cuisine than that place in England. Jared has also sent me one of those unique American $1 coins and one of the American state coins that features his state, Georgia, with a big peach on it. And then we've got this set of cool American politics-themed trading cards. Obama, Sanders, Trump, Rand Paul, Santorum, Cruz, Carson, Jeb Bush. They're called Decision 2016 playing cards. So thank you very much for that, Jared. Very cool stuff. Georgia is one of my favorite states, even though I have not been there. As my pile of knickknacks grows ever higher, it is time for another box. This is just a small parcel. Hello, JJ. My name is Jack, and I'm from Nova Scotia. Here are some things from South Africa. Oh, so another bunch of South African knickknacks. So he has sent me a South African coin attached to the letter here, 5 Rand, and then this little South African flag, which is quite sharp, and then this very cool South African magnet from Cape Town. I love magnets because you can never have enough of them. My fridge might have a lot right now, but it can always use more. So thanks very much for that, Jack. I'm sure getting a lot of coins. Good thing I got that Taiwanese piggy bank. This is a thin envelope from England. Oh wow, this is quite beautiful. These are the new British pound notes. In England, I know that they're in Great Britain, I should say, they make different money in Scotland than they do in the rest of the UK, even though it's all the same currency. So here is the British 10-pound note, which features Jane Austen, the famous British writer. And then on the Scottish 10-pound note, it features Mary Somerville, the famous Scottish writer. And then on the British one, of course, it has the Queen on one side, whereas on the Scottish one, they have 2 otters. So somewhat different political priorities. Oh, and then there is also a bill from the United Arab Emirates, which is very cool. 10 dirhams. I will have to ask my sister who lives there how much that's worth. So thank you very much for that cool money. So this parcel from Maryland comes from Eric. Hello, my name is Eric and I live in Eldersburg/Sykesville, Maryland. The reason for the 2 town names is that Eldersburg is technically an unincorporated community, so the 2 towns share the same mailing address. So he has sent me a Maryland state quarter, which will go well with my Georgia state quarter, and Eldersburg t-shirt. Says, an American original, forged in freedom and liberty, a tradition of hard work and independence. He says he is a little bit surprised that Eldersburg has its own clothing line, considering it only gets about 1 tourist a year. There is also a hat. This one is branded with the Sykesville logo. The coolest small town in America, it says. In 2016, Sykesville won Budget Travel's 11th annual Coolest Small Town in America contest. And since then, the town has put that fact on everything you can think of. We have the Carroll County Official Visitor's Guide. Our towns and small communities offer their own special combination of attractions, including rich history, outdoor recreation, arts, culture, fun festivals, delicious dining, antique specialty shops, and much more. I'm sure it's not much more. Old Bay seasoning. Old Bay is a Maryland-born seasoning that is still made in Maryland. It says you can put it on almost everything, and I can tell you Marylanders put it on almost everything. And then there is a postcard featuring the Oriole bird mascot of the Baltimore Orioles. Eric says they are not a very good team, but he loves them anyway. And how could you not, what with this adorable bird-shaped mascot? So thank you very much for all of these cool things, Eric. Maryland, lovely state, would like to go there someday. But for what state is that not the truth? We have a parcel here from my friend Mary, who comes from the great state of Louisiana. Not actually from Mary, it is from a fellow named Soule. So in recognition of Louisiana's most famous thing, which is of course the New Orleans Mardi Gras, my friend has given me some Mardi Gras throws, a Zulu Club coconut, which is supposedly highly coveted, and some Mardi Gras beads, a little tiny plastic baby that apparently goes in a certain kind of cake. We also have a voodoo doll. Having this powerful voodoo doll over the main entrance of your home or business to promote peace and prosperity and ward off evil. Voodoo stuff is popular in New Orleans, legacy of their Creole heritage. Also got a American ruler that does not use the godless metric system, but rather a inches. This is actually helpful. We also got some cool New Orleans postcards, one featuring Baron Samedi, who is of course the sort of famous voodoo stock character / character no one wants to be in 007 for the N64. And then one of a person called Marie Laveau. My friend says, the most famous person from New Orleans was the voodoo priestess Marie Laveau, which was actually two people, a mother and daughter. Because they looked alike and had the same name, people apparently couldn't tell them apart. The rumor was that Marie Laveau had the elixir of life because she sold her soul to Papa Gede, who is basically a trickster god of life and death. People go to see her tomb and do various good luck rituals on it, but he says now it is such a crowded tourist trap, it is hard to do much of anything there. Some other very cool postcards of the old sort of New Orleans architecture. This is a cool, really old antique one of some of the early French settlers with the Indians. I'm also given this charming cup that apparently comes from a popular snow cone stand. In New Orleans, they're called snowball stands. Hansen's Snow Blitz since 1939. World famous, it says. Somehow gone my whole life being unaware of this. So thank you very much, Sully, for all of your cool little New Orleans knickknacks. Definitely one of the more interesting, more colorfully cultural states. One final little package here from the great state of Texas. This comes from my friend Michael, and it is a giant Lone Star flag. Well, that is just beautiful. And a good way to end the video. So thank you very much, Michael. So, once again, very overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that you guys continuously send me. It is so much fun to learn about the world through objects, I think. And you guys just continue to impress me with the sheer thoughtfulness and, frankly, amount of objects that you send me. It's very clear that a lot of you have spent a great deal of your own money sending me mail, picking out, lovely objects that tell the story of where you're from. As I said in the last video, when I do unboxing videos of this sort, I try to move through things relatively quickly, and then that can sometimes come off like maybe I'm not really, taking the time to appreciate all the little things and thoughtfulness that you put into these packages. But you can rest assured that off camera, I do read the letters very carefully. I do go through all of the little objects and appreciate them. I try to return as much as I can the thoughtfulness that you have given to me. But that being said, if you have any desire to send me a box of gewgaws from where you come from in order to help educate me about your corner of the world, just send me an email and I will send you my mailing address. You can send me as much or as little as you like. So once again, a very fun little tour of the world. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much, and I will see you with a normal video next week.